Hello, my name is Felix Jones, and welcome to a new episode of Felix's Philosophy. Today, I'm going to be talking about something incredibly important, something very close to my heart from the last few months, and something that's been a big part of my philosophical awakening, which has been taking place over the last few years. And hopefully, I can bring it to you as something to share. Basically, the backstory behind this is that I used to be a full-time meat eater my entire life. I did it because I was brought up eating meat. I felt it was right. It felt it was okay. I didn't know why I felt this way. It just seemed fine because I hadn't studied it. And then one day, a few months ago, I was traveling with some vegan friends of mine, some vegetarian friends of mine, and I'd started cooking a lot of vegetarian meals. And suddenly I just thought, oh, this is brilliant. I can just go veggie. I can do this sort of thing, and I won't need to see other animals dying for me to live any longer. And I was raving about soy. I was like, oh, it's going to be great. I just eat soy products for the rest of my life. And then my partner obviously pointed out to me that soy causes a huge amount of deforestation in order for it to be planted, the industry itself. And so this suddenly sent me spinning off down this path, and not to the point of thinking that all damage is equal, but it was impossible for me to live without doing damage. And this was just horrifying as a thought. And in my panic, I just found myself needing to write. And so I wrote a piece about it, which I'm going to read to you now. And then afterwards, I'm going to talk to you a little bit further about why I wanted to do this. So here we go. How troubling my thoughts of last night are. To coincide with my desired sobriety, my emphasized want for clarity, I am feeling a new level of hopelessness I have not previously felt with such inescapable reason. The unfairness of nature, my incapacity to live without doing harm, my lack of choice in finding myself engaged in this reality where I must choose between consumption and my own personal extinction. I live this morally unclean life of luxury where I'm constantly surrounded by people who are without, reflecting my privilege back to me. And I always just thought of this as being part of a broken system. But no, I am the consumer. I am the inventor of demand. Our economic system is merciless in its utilitarian abuse of nature and assumed bias towards human life. With scrutiny, this is seen in all of existence. Even the most tranquil forest is constantly consuming itself. But so long as I impact the world, live in the world, consume parts of the world, I damage it. If I run away to a cabin to be self-reliant, I am selfish and yet still privileged. If I am part of this machine, then how do I fix it from within? Is the job too large? Am I ill-equipped? Could I reasonably concede these things without either admitting my own logical and moral inconsistencies or simply ceasing to be? This is the most suicidal I have felt in some time. And I merely hold it off for when one of my more distracting primordial urges takes up the reins and occupies my mind with a more simple, understandable, positive reinforcement reward system that I can easily handle over the logic and thought that's troubling me now. I do know my solutions, though I currently can't feel them. I believe in the human capacity to feel beauty, and also I understand that I'm useless dead. At least alive, at least here, I contain positive potentialities alongside all of my negative ones. This doesn't justify the huge quantifiable deficit of life I create. This changes a lot about modern debating as well. Tu quoque attacks the method in debate of accusing your interlocutor of having made the same mistakes, being guilty of the same crimes, in order to justify what you are being accused of, have never been more irrelevant and more useless, because we are all guilty of hurting and luxury, even if many of us are also the victims of others. Many of us practice damage limitation in our existences with the pursuit of a morally clean way of living, but it doesn't render them innocent. It shows effort to reduce culpability, and it sets a positive example in the same direction though. And yet it's still rarely taken to the logical conclusion of giving up house and luxury to provide for others. All this raises so many new questions. Do I grant the lasting, established nature of human life importance over everything else? Do I pursue and continue existence only because I was born into it? And do I feel like this all undermines my capacity for clear and critical thinking about my own life? In response to the last two, I can't help but feel like the answer is yes. I continue and permit and consent to existence because I came into it already started. I have no morality, certainly not an objective one, with which I can agree with totally while I live. I have the human bias, the bias of all living things, the bias of valuing my own life. How will all of these thoughts carve out my philosophy? Well, let's see. First of all, I am an absurdist physical reductivist. I accept this reality in all its empirical evidence, and I see no morality that is not an invention of our biology and circumstance. Secondly, I am a humanist. I believe in the significance amidst the pain of life, of human happiness. Happiness in general, really, for I believe humans to be just another form of life with no greater significance than any other, but in our capacity to self-reflect and reason, whatever that means, considering that these are just other symptoms of survival instincts. So I cannot consent to human life as it proceeds, dominating the world and existing constantly at the cost of other forms of life. I don't believe in any kind of inherent morality, but I can't help but see this as some kind of double standard in our thinking. I don't truly believe in cause, responsibility, or evil. I think humans are naturally driven away from reason and true choice or free will and towards violence, not just practically surviving, but forever driven and designed by that one thing. So responsibility is an abstract I can only grant so much weight, with free will being so vague and pre-designed factors of ourselves being, in theory, responsible for every choice and action that we make. In truth, I think we all exist due to varying degrees of luck. It is by luck that I encountered philosophy, and had this want to live by it. It is bad fortune that many are closed off, or not exposed to, or deprived of such ideas, and see no wrong in abusing and exploiting. So it is by bad luck that many are killed, that animals die so that others may live, that monstrous creatures snap necks for fun and work children to death for money. Kurt Vonnegut's response to these kind of realizations was initially despair, followed by the spreading of positive thoughts, while simultaneously sitting back with his nightly scotch and soda, watching the fireworks and wishing that all of humanity was just butterflies. He did his part, but ultimately admitted defeat and comfort, and George Carlin's reaction was somewhat similar. Albert Camus lived to spite this unfair world, to prove that he could. I am hard-pressed to think of many others I would not just call at some point ignorant and privileged, more focused on traversing a social terrain in a world with a presupposed point to human life. I must read Rousseau soon. I could see arguing with him, or, like Diogenes, both wanting to roll up the map of human morality and embrace the chaos of nature. That again is where I am torn, because I believe in the capacity for human reason, and I wouldn't give it up and hand it over to some force inside me that I might fight to transcend. And yet, I also believe that human morality and ideas of what is right and just, meaningful and purposeful contribute to the senses of fear and pain that are experienced when confronted with the cold, hard luck of existing. Apes like us, when they are threatened, scream in fear, and chemicals drive them insane with desire to preserve their own existences. But they aren't burdened with the questioning of why these things are happening to them, not in the same way we are. It is beyond their design in the same way cause outside of human action, the actual why we usually put down to an anthropomorphized force like God or fate, is beyond our comprehension, building our tools only out of what evolution gave us to survive and understand. So, thanks to my human reason, I believe I can claim moral responsibility for my actions. However, I also admit I'm doomed by design to failure to take that to its logical conclusion, because of my place in nature and my drive to survive. And I don't believe that this is inherently wrong or right. I think pain is horrible for everyone, at least not in good cause and in moderation. I believe unnecessary pain is wrong, and so is unnecessary comfort in the face of pain. We should be designing nature to limit damage. However, parts of a broken system, not designed by any kind of grand morality, we must decide where the moral decision lies. We admit weakness in existing, not strength, because it comes with a self-deceiving bias and double standard for the section of nature we belong to. The least we can do is abandon our senses of entitlement and justice, admit to the chaos and the culpability and the absence of a complete consistent morality, but also decide where you lie, how much pain you can or should carry responsibility for, and do what you can to minimize that pain. You are a cog on a screwed up machine that is fueled by selfishness and supported on a structure of double standards, and your priority shouldn't be the running of that machine, not the efficiency, not the expansion of that machine. Neither can it possibly be the seeing to of changing the complete nature of that machine all at once, because you will only run up against that impossibility. Instead, think on how you can make this machine kinder to itself. For all the nothing that it's worth, at the constant cost of everything, let parts of the machine occasionally sing, and thank God that you don't have to be around for every last squeak and shriek of the thing through the rest of eternity, and that no one has to. You see, death isn't an evil. It's overexcitement, having had its time, even if that's the blink of an eye, receding to where it should never have come from in the first place. The materials of the universe. Oh wow, that was quite something. Thank you very much for watching if you managed to sit through the entirety of that. I know it's some pretty harrowing stuff going on. It was certainly harrowing for me when I wrote it. This just wanted to say afterwards that there was a little something I wanted to follow this up with, because the reason I started doing these philosophical videos that this really fits into is that I suddenly realized that I no longer wanted to have inconsistencies in how I thought. With the realization that came to me with studying philosophy was that it was so very easy and normal and very regular to have thoughts that are mainly based on how you feel about things, that aren't built around a solid idea of knowledge, of the closest thing that you could possibly get to knowledge. And that was what I'm trying to stab at with this particular essay. And so people are left vulnerable to believing all kinds of things that, if put into hard words, they might find themselves not actually agreeing with. And that's kind of what I wanted to eliminate with this. And this does mean that I had to invite people along with what I believe are certain logically inescapable ideas, like the idea that all human life is equally valuable, because objectively speaking, all human life is meaningless. But we all admit the value of our own human lives simply by living life. Otherwise, if we didn't value our own human lives, we wouldn't get out of bed in the morning, like I may have said in the previous video. But once you have that, you realize that you're objectively no different to any other human being, and therefore you must extend that same value that you extend to yourself to every other human being, making us all equal. That's one of the things that I'd like to think that all of my viewers are willing to accept when going into these videos. And furthermore, though you may not believe in this for religious reasons, or because you think that human life is particularly important or complex, you may think that I believe that all life, all sentient life, is equally valuable, because that same drive that leads us to value ourselves, that self-preservation ego drive that is born of evolution, is present in all sentient life. All sentient life has the capacity for fear and self-value, so it renders us all equally significant. We should extend that same original bias that we have towards ourselves, not only to the people around us, but to all forms of life. And this is what led me to go from being a massive meat eater to being a full-time vegan, for want of a better word. What I actually mean is that I just try and limit. I tried not to make any more than necessary impact on the world. In terms of consumption. In terms of output, I'm trying to put out lots of good stuff. So yeah, these are the kind of things that I might have to invite people to come along with me on, even if they don't necessarily agree with me. I would be willing to have the debate as well, as if anyone's up for that, if anyone wants to put things in the comments and talk to me about what they think about the issue, I'm really open to it, because also I realise that my philosophy isn't necessarily complete. It's all just ideas that I have based on what I know at the moment, what I believe at the moment to be true. If it turns out that I'm wrong, I'm really willing to have other people criticise and contribute that. So yeah, if you would like to do that, then please do comment away, and I really want to have a chat with you guys. Other than that, thank you so much for watching. My name's Felix Jones, again, Lego Cheetah is the name of the channel, or LGCHT. Please like, subscribe, stick a thing on the Facebook page, whatever you feel like doing. Thanks very much for watching. This has been one of the most important pieces of creative output of my life. Thank you very much. Bye.